Hello and welcome. My name is Cyndal Wallace. I am your host today, and welcome to Discovering Your Purpose. And today on the Purpose Project, I'm with Jaclyn Brereton. Did I do that right?
Brereton.
Brereton, thank you, thank you. Words are hard sometimes. And she is the owner of the Healing Boutique. She is a Reiki master and teacher, and I'm very excited to have her here with us today. And she also is a lover of animals, and you were my pet sitter for many, many years with Mr. Monty. So thank you for being here, and I'm really looking forward to chatting with you. So we're going to go ahead and just jump on in. I want to hear about how would you define purpose and passion, and do they overlap for you, or are they separate?
I think that they definitely overlap. Passion to me is something that lights you up, that excites you, what frequently is on your mind, and you just get that overwhelming sense of joy. And it's like, oh, I love it. And with purpose, we do have that feel good feeling also, but purpose is like what we're doing, how we're doing it, And so when we are lucky enough to figure out our passions and apply it to our purpose, then that is absolutely fantastic. Help people. But then the passion is going to bring into the aspect of how we like to help the people. So it could be volunteer work. It could be your career. So being open to how they overlap, I think is important.
Yeah, I completely agree. And as I've shared before, a couple of years ago, I was at this midlife crisis point where I was, because I love what I do. I do have a lot of purpose, and I love being a hypnotist. And I wouldn't change it for the world. But after doing something for so long, sometimes that little passion kind of starts to go away, right? Mm-hmm. And so then one thing that I've been really focusing on is like acting on my highest excitement. And so then when I came to those crossroads, I was like, oh, is hypnosis that? Oh no. And then I almost had this whole crumbling moment. And then that's when I came to the point of this is my purpose. And yeah, sometimes there is passion that does get sparked up in it, but this is my purpose and this is why I'm here. This is my calling in life. And so some of my passions, sometimes it does overlap, such as the sound bath, some of the sound healing that I've been doing, where I have been incorporating hypnosis into it. Mm-hmm. But then it's also too being able to start fostering and being able to start doing volunteer work, helping animals. So those are some of the passions. So it's important to know that they're not always going to overlap, but sometimes when we are lucky, they can overlap.
Absolutely.
So thank you. So you have been a Reiki master and a Reiki teacher for quite some time. So what inspired you to go on that path?
Yeah, so initially when I decided to take my first Reiki class, after one Reiki session was all, oh man, the way that I can apply Reiki to myself, doing self Reiki every day to help my household, my son, my dog, his cat. I don't know, I just had this giant knowing that I need to learn how to do Reiki. I can help my family, my household so much. And that was the summer of 2016. And it was very shortly after that I wanted to start helping my friends. And I was very nervous at the time. But I just brought them into my home in the living room. I popped up a massage table. And then, of course, the cat jumps up and he's just sleeping, being a purr box. I'm like, okay, there's something to this, because even the cat feels the energy. And I would try to put him outside and he would just meow and scratch at the door to get back in. So it became a regular thing, especially I had a few friends be regulars, that it was just known that the cat was going to be there. And so I really thought that that's just, it was just going to be something that I did on the side, help my family and help my friends. I'd say about 8 months went by where it was like, okay, there are more people that I can help. Oh my gosh, just post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety. I found that I started to have people come to me word of mouth through my friends that they had been through domestic violence or were currently going through it. And they started to reach out. And being a survivor of domestic violence myself, it just felt very natural to want to help them. That nobody is alone on this journey of life. Oftentimes we find ourselves in situations where we do feel separated and alone from anyone, everyone, but we don't have to do this alone. So that's where, what was it, like 2018, I think, that I opened up my first Reiki studio and started just being open to the public. I felt a calling to do my master's certification, just to continue in my education. That's all it was. They had even asked me on day 3 of the class, oh, do you think that you're gonna, start teaching? Do you think, what's next for you? And I'm like, ha ha ha, teaching? No. And then like within 6 months, I got that like divine calling. Yep, you're gonna teach. And I ignored it for another year. Another year I ignored it. So yeah, that's, when I had my first Reiki session and got that calling to learn Reiki just for my household. I had no idea that it was going to bring so much more into my life. Had no idea.
Yeah, and there's so much, and I really resonate too with a lot what you were just sharing, because hypnosis literally fell into my lap. I mean, I was watching kind of very similar to this, like the whole interview, like a little chatting with a hypnotist. The hypnotist was talking about neuroplasticity and mindset and all these things I'm very geeky about. And I was like, oh, this is it. I felt that light up. I felt like that purpose being switched on. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It was just a sense of knowing. Yeah. And then everything just happened so quickly, very similar like for you. And now that has led you to Spokane Valley and opening up the Healing Boutique, that community that you've been able to create where you do the Sunday meditations. You also offer, again, Reiki, massage therapy, massage. There's also been some hypnosis practitioners in there too. You do the Akashic Records as well as Reiki. And so what led to the beginning of the Healing Boutique? I remember us going for walks and talking about it too. Yeah. So like, what led to that passion there?
Yeah, so with having my Reiki studio in 2018, I had this feeling like there was something more. But as I meditated on it and did self Reiki, I wasn't really getting any, push or further guidance on it. And so I let it sit. And then June of 2019, I just met up for coffee with my Reiki master teacher. And we were just getting together, not to talk business or anything, but just two humans wanting to enjoy coffee and conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't even know exactly how it got brought up, but it was one of those like, oh, wouldn't it be so cool if there was, like healing modalities from around the world and, having the group classes and having crystals and smudge and singing bowls, like as a supplement, tools for our journey. And my teacher was like, oh, I have dreamed of doing that for years. And I was like, are you serious? Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? And she was like, well, yes. Are you serious? And I'm like, yes. Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it? Yeah. And I applied for the LLC license the very next day.
Yeah.
And both her and I just jumped straight in. It, how you mentioned before, like with having that knowing.
Yeah.
And so then also having that feel good, and that where it just feels in alignment.
Yeah.
And so we jumped, both of us, both feet in, and we decided to start looking at commercial locations. It did take us 8-9 months to find the right place.
Mm-hmm.
But even as I walked in to where we're at now, 3 steps into the building, I just had that feeling just bubble up and out where it's like, oh my gosh, this is it. This is the space for us. And so, yeah, March will be 5 years.
I know
that we've been at that location.
And I mean, I'm spoiled because it's like 2 minutes away from my house as well. So I love that for me, and I really love how you guys had that excitement and then acting on the highest excitement. Then we act on that highest excitement and then we take it as far as we can take it, which is what you've done with the Healing Boutique. And I personally think the Healing Boutique is one of the best gems in the Spokane Valley. And it's a really great place. I send a lot of my hypnosis clients down there, especially people that are looking for community, people that are looking for like-minded individuals, just to be able to meet other people, but to also learn and grow. So I love all of the types of modalities that you do offer, but I also love like the Sunday meditations and all the different classes to really have this community. And I think that's something that a lot of people have missed since COVID. And I know that basically your grand opening was the beginning of COVID, and you've been able to make it to this point. And so anyone who's in the Spokane Valley area, if you're traveling through, stop by, highly suggested, 10 out of 10. And so I wanted to go ahead and shift a little bit to a different direction here. So I wanted to ask about your connection with animals. And because I know that you are a lover of animals, very similar to I am, and that you have also worked with many animals too, like in your Reiki practice. And so how has your connection with animals maybe influenced your own healing journey or helping others heal?
Yeah, I think that, having a love for animals since childhood, before I can remember, was more than I realized at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like having a love for them, having a connection with them, that oftentimes I would get comments that being at a friend's house and their family dog was behaving so differently with me. And as a child, I didn't think anything of it, I'm just like, well, I don't know. I just love them so much, and all the pets and stuff. And taking my Reiki class in 2016, like really opened up my clair abilities, my psychic gifts. And so it's been a journey this last handful of years of just trying different things out, to send energy to animals, to start talking to them. And as I've gotten more and more comfortable with my clairvoyance and clairsentience, clairognoscence, that I'm able to discern, like with the animal that I'm interacting with, that, sometimes it's messages visually that come through. Sometimes I hear them say stuff to me, and I don't know, being able to embrace that and to stop questioning if I am making it up, if I'm weird. And that's part of with the community at the Healing Boutique and all the different conversations that we have. There's a variety of things that end up getting discussed, that I've received guidance of like, oh, well, that's just your clairsentience speaking to you. And how about you try this? Just having that curiosity and feeling like a student of the universe of like, oh, I'm willing to learn. What was that? Okay, I'm going to implement your suggestion. Doing Reiki on animals and seeing their mood improve, seeing their pain decrease. And it's really been a blessing.
Yeah. I know there's been times too where Monty, like my dog, would get all excited and everything. I was like, what are you getting all excited about? Then I would get a message from you like later that day. It was like thinking about Monty. I was getting messages from Monty earlier. I was like, he was acting weird earlier. So like that happened quite a bit. But I mean, you and Monty have a very close relationship too. So I love that. I want to talk about the Akashic Records, because I know that's like a new modality that you recently started adding into your practice. What was that like having that call to move forward about learning the Akashic Records and being able to offer it to your clients to help them have deeper understanding and understanding about themselves so they can know thyself more?
Yeah. So I would say that it's again like following that inner guidance. Probably for the year or two before, I was getting this little wiggle of an idea in the back of my mind that like something more is coming, something more is coming. And I know from experience to not push things, right? Things will be, divinely guided for me.
Yeah.
And with being a manifesting generator, I know that my solar plexus, my gut feeling is what to follow.
Yeah.
And so when I had seen a Facebook post of a colleague of mine that she was teaching Akashic Records, I just had that instant in my gut, I want to do this. I'm not even certain what exactly this entails, but I want to do this. And so I signed up. All 3 levels took a couple of months, and the learning, healing, growing, within myself was intense. Took some time to integrate all of that. And so now being able to offer it to clients where it can be a standalone session, it can also be blended into a Reiki session. Maybe we do 20, 30 minutes of Akashic first, and we get these answers about different things, and then have the Reiki session. It helps integrate it.
I can imagine that, being able to get some insight and maybe even again, I've never done one before, but getting information, I would imagine that maybe feelings would come up, either good or positive, right? And then being able to then experience a Reiki session where you're allowing that Reiki energy to flow through you to help cleanse that energy, whatever that you need, because that's how Reiki works, right? But then also too, having that moment of stillness where you're just laying there receiving to allow maybe other insights from the Akashic Records to come through. So I can completely understand how the Akashic Records and Reiki would really support each other.
Yeah.
And I know another thing that you do is you like to add the essential oils into your practice as well too with Reiki. And I mean, I had my own personal experience with that where I was having some hormonal issues for a couple of months. And then like you and I did, I think like 4 or 5 Reiki sessions with the essential oils. And then by that 5th session, I was like, I switched, just turned on, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm better now, and since then, like things have been better. So can we talk a little bit more about like the essential oils and like the Reiki? Because I think that's a really unique blend, for better word, very unique blend. And because I know essential oils has it's more common nowadays too. But I want to like learn a little bit more about how the essential oils and the Reiki, how they support each other, and your passion for that.
Yeah, essential oils and Reiki, they support each other very much. And I think one of the things that I love the most about them is that the individual doesn't even have to believe that they work.
Yeah.
They just work.
Yeah.
And so it's okay to come in and be skeptical and have questions and reservations, because Reiki always honors free will. It's never going to push you to work through something that you're not ready to work through. And the essential oils, they are, plants and herbs grown from the earth. And Mother Earth knows how to nurture and take care of us. And so these essential oils, they do go through their process to make the plant into the oil essence, but they are going to work whether you believe in them or not. And so I think that's the biggest reason, and I don't know, most fun reason for me, of like why they support each other so well.
I remember, I think there was a couple of like, ooh, I like that, because you would have me smell each one before you would like put it on me. I was like, oh, that smells nice. Oh, I like that one. And so it's really also interesting, like being able to observe like what smells we do resonate with and what smells we don't resonate with. And I really like what you said though too about how like we don't have to believe in it. It's just it's going to work as it works. And I mean, it also makes sense too, because, Mother Nature is the, OG medicine after all, right?
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you for geeking out with me about that. Because I just, after having my own little personal experience, I wanted to share that. And so if anyone else is needing to have, maybe if they've tried like other things and maybe the essential oils can be what they need to help balance or to help clear things away. And I mean, the olfactory bulb, which is going to be responsible for smell, is connected to our subconscious, which is the hypnosis realm. And so it also makes sense too how that could also like trigger things on a subconscious and unconscious level to bring feelings forward. It's kind of like we smell like, that reminds me of like grandma's cookies. You know what I mean? And so smell can be very, very healing, especially I would imagine for someone who maybe doesn't have the strong other senses, being able to like visually see in their mind's eye. And so, but being able to tap into those smells to be able to invoke different feelings, different sensations and things. So for someone who is curious about healing, about energy healing or Reiki, what are some of these small steps that they can take on this journey? Some of like the steps that you took, for an example.
Oftentimes, I do recommend to people that have reached out to me to attend a Reiki share or a Reiki circle. It is
Try it before you buy it.
It's a great way to kind of just dip your toe into, feel, because you're going to feel the Reiki flowing in the room. People take turns of who's on the table and receiving. And so you get to observe, you get to meet multiple Reiki practitioners. And, so follow your gut instinct on, like when you do meet a practitioner that is just like, I like you. I've also equated it to, like with a hairdresser.
Yeah.
Sometimes you might have to try a couple of hairdressers to find the one that resonates with you the most.
Absolutely.
And so it is okay. It's completely acceptable that you might meet and have Reiki sessions with multiple practitioners, before you find like the right one that just resonates, where you're like, I know that I've got tons of work to do. Let's do it,
Yeah.
So somebody just new on their journey, I would recommend the Reiki share. Reiki can also be done from a distance. And so truly you're not limited to just your local area. You could be anywhere in the world and find a practitioner anywhere. So Reiki.org is
like a directory.
Those of us that are members of the International Reiki Association will be listed there. And so that's what I would recommend for 2 easy steps. And if someone is still feeling a little on the fence, I would recommend searching Jason Stephenson and Michael Seeley on YouTube.
Okay. Yep, I'm familiar
with
with
their music, their, like the self-hypnosis, the guided meditation that they do, listening to those as you go to sleep. I've personally experienced profound shifts. So
I think that you touch on a really important point. Like, even if it's not just like Reiki, with like any type of modality you're searching, that you have a connection with your practitioner,
yeah.
that there is that connection, there is that rapport, that you feel safe, to be yourself around them. You're like, even in the hypnosis world, this is again like why I even like offer like the free consultations, is so then like get to know the other person, they get to know me, and then we get to see if we're a good like energetic match, because it's not going to be for everyone, and not every person I meet is going to be like my person either. So I think that is a really good point, like when you're searching out any type of modality, it's like trust yourself, like trust your own intuition. And does it, even if you have like tons of work you have to do, does it still feel exciting, to move forward with this? So again, it goes back to acting on your highest excitement, right?
Yes.
And how are people going to be able to find you? Like, if someone wants to book a Reiki session with you, or they want to come to the Healing Boutique, or maybe they want to go online and maybe buy a singing bowl or something like that, where can people find you?
Yeah, so we do have a website, healingboutiquespokane.com, and then also on Facebook, Healing Boutique Spokane. So on the website, we've got each of the practitioners of the different modalities highlighted. And when you click on them, it goes to their particular website showing the different services that they offer. And there's also a page for shopping for the singing bowls, crystals, smudge.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, I mean, is there anything else in regards to purpose, passion, acting on excitement that you would like to share, or that you would like to add? Maybe something that we didn't cover today that you are feeling excited to talk about?
Yeah, I think that with the discernment within oneself is so worthwhile to get comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And as I mentioned, of the, having the solar plexus as my main powerhouse, as we are moving from a place of excitement, I do recommend make sure that you're in a neutral state first. Because if you are, heightened because you're with someone that is also jazzed up about something, making a decision from that heightened state might feel good in that moment, but then later when you part ways and you're not in that person's energy bubble anymore, you might think or feel differently about it. So to get really comfortable with like, oh yes, I am excited, I am jazzed, can I let you know in a day or two? So then that way you can be within your own energy, you can pray about it, you can meditate, and get in that neutral energy state first, reflect on how it feels, and move from there, making sure that it still is from excitement and joy.
Absolutely. This is a practice that I've been doing myself, as you already know. I mean, I already have this practice in place, like with making a bigger purchase, where I like to sit with it, like go to a place of neutrality. If that excitement is still there, I feel that pull forward, then I'm like, hell yeah, let's go ahead, let's move forward. Now, what I'm in the practice of doing is being able to do that when people come to me for events and for things like that.
To practice the pause.
Yeah, to practice the pause, and like, as like an Aries who is also like very excited, and I'm like, yes, let's do it. That has been a very interesting, challenging practice to play, just like taking that pause to like, let me think about it and I'll get back to you in a couple of days. So thank you for sharing that, because I think that is a really big thing. And then like when we can take that pause, we can then understand more about ourselves, about like what is it that truly lights us up. And then that brings us more understanding and more knowing about thyself. And so it's just more information about who we are as a person. And then we can making sure that we are in alignment with our actions.
Yeah. And so we can move more confidently
Yes.
through our earthly experiences while we're here.
Instead of being like, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So that sounds great. And then a week later, be like, no, it doesn't feel great. Then meanwhile, like a person could be like, what's wrong with me? Like, I already said yes. Now I feel like I am like being a Decepticon, whatever, that I'm not being truthful and honest. And so I think there's a lot of power just being able to take that pause. So thank you for adding that. And again, the whole life journey, I personally feel, is like really all about knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just a one little tool that we can use to know thyself. So thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I also want to say thank you too for hanging out with me today and having this conversation. And I really do hope that it has inspired at least one of you out there to act on your highest excitement, to have more understanding about your purpose and your passions. And again, acting on that with excitement, even if it is Reiki, Akashic Records, becoming a practitioner, becoming a professional hypnotist, or just receiving and just knowing that whatever you're going through, you don't even have to go through it alone, that there is community out there. And even if you're not in the Spokane area, that there are other hubs and communities out there. And we really need that more now than ever. So again, thank you, Jaclyn, for being here and having this conversation with me. And thank you guys for hanging out with us too during this conversation as well. I'm going to invite you to go do all the things, go like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Drop a comment down. Have you ever done Reiki? Have you ever done the Akashic Records? So thank you again. Take care, breathe deeply. Until next time, thank you.